Welcome back. No fewer than 133 Nigerian women, including teenagers, were victims of suspected gender-related violence between January 1, 2024 and December 31st, 2024. The details were contained in the 2024 DOHS Cares Foundation's Femicide reports. The alarming number of incidents were based on verified reports of gender-related violence published by various media outlets in Nigeria during the period under review. The reports indicate that approximately 12 women were killed between January and March 2024. Among the victims was a 3-year-old girl named Asiya, who was initially reported missing but was later found dead in Bauchi State with some of her body parts allegedly removed. According to the data, at least 9 women lost their lives to gender-related violence in April. I'm being joined from Abuja by Gladys Emmanuel, an attorney at law with substantial experience in advocacy for women. It's good to have you join me here, Gladys.
Good morning. It's so good to join you this morning to discuss this very topical issue and very serious issue, which is femicide in Nigeria. Great.
Let's begin with something as basic as asking whether this figure is a true reflection of the state of things, given your own involvement in this space. Could it potentially be higher?
Definitely. These figures have the chances of being higher because we have cases of not only femicide, but various forms of gender-based violence that continue to go unreported in the country based on lots of issues, such as the absence of proper awareness, fear of stigmatization, fear of being judged, culture of silence, which is very prevalent in this part of the world, and of course, lack of access to relevant support services to be able to properly address issues of gender-based violence. So definitely 133 might be less than what we really have for the year 2024.
All right, when we look at the month-by-month breakdown, it says that 23 women in May and June, and then it also goes ahead to say some 16 in July and so on. Now, one is actually attempted to ask, is this the symptom of a misogynistic society, or how worried should we really be?
So when we're talking about issues of femicide in Nigeria, I think for the year 2024, we had it the highest. And this reason is because, like I mentioned earlier, the lack of awareness. So I'll take myself as an example. During the last concluded 16 days of activism, which is usually spans from 25th of November into 10th of December every year, one thing that we noticed is, even as we engaged with people at the grassroots, we noticed the absence of proper awareness of issues of gender-based violence at all. People do not really understand the severity of this issue. We have communities still trying to adopt the traditional methods of addressing issues of whether it's femicide or gender-based violence as a whole. So when we talk about these issues of femicide, the figures can be higher, just like I mentioned earlier. And the reason, one, we have patriarchy, where we see male dominance, where we see issues such as toxic masculinity, where we see issues such as women being subjugated. We also have issues around economic dependence. Now, most women or girls depend heavily on male figures. Now, these male figures could range from either their fathers or even intimate partners. And as such, when they are faced with threats or even femicide, we see that very little is done. We just hear about it on the news, and that is all about it. We really have very little cases that end up going to court, and then perpetrators are made to face the full arm of the law. We also have families who have not really understood the severity of this issue, and as such, they try to downplay how serious issues of femicide is in our country. Femicide stems from also cultural norms. Now, when we have harmful cultural norms, when we have the fact that there's no allyship, no male allyship to be able to tackle these issues, then we continue to see a rise in issues of femicide in this country. And then we have weak implementation of laws as such, and the absence of proper support services. Now, although in the case of femicide, now there are lots of factors that come into play. We see things such as some people tell you the reason they did that is because of male dominance. Others will tell you the reason that we continue to have femicide on the rise is because of some traditional purposes or rituals or orthodox purposes, as the case may be.
Well, it bothers me to note this, but then again, what sort of conversations ought we to have that we aren't having? And what aren't we telling ourselves in terms of change drivers? What must we begin to do that's different as government, families, and even individuals?
So first, we need to understand that addressing femicide is a collective responsibility. It is not the responsibility of the government alone or civil society organizations or even families alone. It is a collective responsibility because this is one monster that is eating deep into the fabric of our society. So the first thing, after recognizing we need concerted effort, the next thing we need to do is awareness creation. We cannot overemphasize the importance of awareness creation. Just over the last concluded 16 days of activism, I was in a community, and out of 50 persons who were involved in that community dialogue and engagement, we asked basic questions about women's rights, basic questions around issues of gender-based violence, and it will surprise you to note that we had less than 10 persons who really had like very minute understanding of this issue. So you see, in the absence of knowledge, abuse sometimes is inevitable. So we need to push for more awareness, more enlightenment, especially at grassroots communities. Secondly, we need to embark on more trainings of our law enforcement agents, more trainings for our judicial officers. We need to note that at this point in Nigeria, we've gotten to the stage where we need to call a state of emergency on issues of femicide or gender-based violence as a whole. Then there is a need for even digital literacy now for girls and women, because most of these persons are lured from the internet. Most of these women and girls are lured from the internet. They don't understand the red flags. They don't know when to stop a conversation. They don't know. Sometimes the perpetrators of femicide are actually strangers. Other times they're persons known to this particular individual. Then we also need to address the use of technology. At the moment, it's so sad that we don't have a holistic hub that is able to address issues of gender-based violence or femicide. We don't have a national mobile application that women and girls are able to click a button and get the necessary help that they need, even when they feel threatened or they feel in danger. So we need to avert our minds towards that.
Okay.
Additionally, we fund the necessary bodies or stakeholders. So we need to fund whether it's police. Proper budgetary allocation every year by the government should be done for either the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs or criminal justice system, and then effort with civil society and the government.
I'm sure there's a lot to actually touch on, especially on this issue. But I want to say thank you so much, Gladys Emmanuel, for joining us and helping us break this down. And hopefully, like you've highlighted, some of these things will be put in place for the betterment, especially of avoiding femicide in the country. Thanks for your time.